So this year's March Madness is just 3 days away, and anyone who casually keeps up with NCAA basketball even a little would probably agree that Gonzaga appears to be the favorite to win it all. They've just got too many traits of a championship team. For example, they've got an undefeated record, a team with experience, and they've got two potential lottery players. One of them shoots an unfair 44% from 3 on 6 attempts, and the other is arguably the best point guard in the upcoming draft. So yeah, for the most part, there's every reason to bet on Gonzaga this year, but believe it or not, they do have some doubters, and the reasons range between the fact that their conference is weak and also that they've had great regular seasons in the past just to fall short in the actual tournament. And those are very cliche criticisms of Gonzaga teams in recent history, but it's also mostly the truth. However, even still, there's one thing or at least one player that makes the difference and invalidates all the doubts that stem from the idea that Gonzaga always does this. And as you can probably tell, his name is Jalen Suggs. So yeah, today we're going to look at the difference for Gonzaga, aka Jalen, and how he has proved this is not just another good season for Gonzaga. But before I go any further, what's up YouTube, Plug Speaks, back with a vid. If you are new, first of all, welcome, go ahead and subscribe. Also like the vid if you enjoy. I drop bangers 3 to 4 times a week, and we're trying to hit 5K, so I'd for sure appreciate it. And I plan to drop a lot of March Madness content, so yeah, but back to the vid though. Okay, first off, this year from Gonzaga is just not like the rest, literally. Because y'all want to know the last time Gonzaga had a one and done lottery player, let alone a one and done player projected to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft? Well, most people probably already know, but the answer is never. I mean, the amount of talent on this team is crazy, and Jalen Suggs, for one, has played beyond the honor of being the highest ranked recruit the school has ever landed. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. His averages of 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on quality shooting does not serve him justice. He shares shots with some quality great players and never forces things. But on the flip side, his numbers look great against some of the quality teams Gonzaga has beaten this year. He just ups his game and performs better against stronger teams, and that's one trait that all the great ones have in common. I mean, for example, Gonzaga's most difficult opponent this year, based on the AP Top 25 rankings, was Iowa, led by Luke Garza. And in that game, Jalen Suggs went off for 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 7 threes on 47% from the field and 70% from 3. That's a great performance if I ever heard one. And then on top of this, in Gonzaga's conference championship game recently against a solid BYU team, Jalen had 8 points in a span of 2 minutes and created the separation his team needed to get the win. Again, isn't that exactly what great players do, and also the exact kind of player championship teams have? It doesn't sound like a fluke team. And I'm not saying a team absolutely needs an elite lottery talent to win it all, but it's not a coincidence that many of them do. It's almost undeniable. Think back to 2019, Virginia wins the championship with the 4th pick DeAndre Hunter at the helm. Or the year before, Villanova wins it with the 10th pick Mikal Bridges. Or 2015 when Duke won it with the 3rd pick Jahlil Okafor. I mean, I could go on and the pattern remains the same. Teams led by NBA talent usually perform well in the tournament, and Gonzaga just happens to have 3 of them in Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert, and Drew Timme. But 2 of them are projected lottery players. It's hard to bet against that. And now, of course, there are other parts to Gonzaga's greatness. They're not just a 3-man team. We could talk about their role players, their elite coach, how well they defend, and more, but this vid is focusing on their key guys, mainly Jalen Suggs. But I've gone over the proof as to why Gonzaga does not have an empty, flawless record. If you believe otherwise, you must have some really good reasons, or you might be delusional. But yeah, from here, we're gonna look at what Jalen Suggs is proving about himself, which is the fact that he may be worthy of being a top 3 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. And I'm sure some people already feel this way, but the majority idea of the top 3 picks I've seen on social media and most mock drafts have included Cade, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Green in a variety of orders, but Jalen Suggs is definitely building a case for himself to end up as a top 3 lock, and the tournament could really change things in his favor. So yeah, as far as factors that could help Jalen out, if there's one thing we know NBA GMs and scouts love, it's when a player has abilities or skills that you can't really teach. I mean, there's a great example this year. Cade is largely the consensus #1 pick because a 6'8" point forward is hard to come by. It's something you can't teach. And luckily for Jalen, a point guard athletic enough to have D1 offers to multiple sports is also something you can't teach, and it's bound to have scouts think twice about passing up on him. And speaking of the multiple D1 offers situation, something many people probably don't know is that Jalen very seriously considered choosing the field over the court. In a recent interview, he revealed the decision-making process on what sport to truly focus on was horrible, and that it wasn't easy giving football up. And real quick, I know that was a genuine concern for him. However, imagine having those options. Again, you cannot teach that. And now Jalen is in position to be one of the best players in the upcoming draft. But back to his chances at going top 3. Like I said, his athletic talents alone surely impress scouts. He shows it off in nearly every game, whether it's the speed, the physical defense, or the finishes at the rim. He's far from the ordinary athlete. But there are some factors that work against Jalen and his chances at being taken top 3. Now, the first of which has to be that the point guard position is incredibly stacked in the NBA. It might even be the most replaceable position in the league, and it's because so many players in today's game have the required scoring abilities, and you don't even need to be an elite playmaker to start that position anymore. I'd go as far to say a good amount of point guards today are really just combo guards. For example, Terry Rozier in Charlotte last year, or Jamal Murray, or even Kyrie. Point is, the value of point guards is sort of going down, although Jalen at least has good size at 6'4". But overall, scouts probably see more value in a rare point forward such as Cade, or a big like Evan Mobley, or a shooting guard like Jalen Green, making it harder to go top 3. But yeah, another factor working against Jalen has got to be his injury scares. And now, I wouldn't say there's been enough injury history for teams to worry about him being injury prone, but it's worth mentioning that he missed a couple games this season due to a leg injury. And even though he doesn't fully rely on his athletic traits to dominate, it's still a decent part of his game. So basically, scouts among the top 3 lottery teams may look at this as a deciding factor in whether or not they choose him. And you may say that's a very nitpicky reason since he hasn't had a major injury. And I'd actually agree with that, but with the load of talent in this upcoming draft class, the nitpicky factors will influence these choices. But yeah, overall, Jalen is a top 5 lock. We can all agree on that. And he probably doesn't care too much whether he goes top 3 or not. This was just an interesting topic, being that March Madness can push a player up in the draft. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Comment below if you believe Gonzaga is having a fluke year and how high you would take Jalen Suggs. But yeah, I appreciate y'all watching. Like this up, share it, sub if new, all of that, and I'm out.